Good morning, everybody. I'm Nawata from the Graduate School of Agriculture. I'd like to introduce the activities of our graduate school in relation to WENDI. And my responsibility is agricultural systems and food security. 2.4 billion ton per hectare. What do you think about this figure? This is a very huge amount. This is the total production of three major cereals: wheat, rice, and maize. During the period from 2014 and 2016, and this period, very large-scale El Nino event occurred. So in these 3 years, in many parts of the world, drought and flood damages are reported. Still, the world total production of three major cereals exceeded 2.4 billion tons per hectare. Roughly speaking, 1 ton can feed 5 people in a year. So now we established the agricultural production system, which can feed 12 billion people. That's no problem for food security now. Actually, the answer is yes, we have problems. Global warming is one of the major concerns for us. And recently, the water supply is becoming more unstable because of the frequent occurrence of drought or flooding. And this is also the very big issue. We established this system by modern agricultural technologies, but these technologies heavily rely on the energy. Chemical fertilizers are various chemicals. In modern agriculture, we use a lot, and both of them, we should consume much amount of energy. Actually, in addition to this, probably growing population is another issue. But now the world population is 7 billion. But probably after the economic development, the population growth is usually become stagnant. So probably the issues shown here are more serious than population growth, I believe. Under this situation, we are making diversified research. The life, food, environment, these three words are keywords for the research and educational activities of Graduate School of Agriculture. In relation to WENDI, the climate and forest, forest and disaster, forest and water, water and irrigation, irrigation and food, climate and food, food and energy, and marine food are being done in our graduate school. And forest and environmental related subjects are explained by Professor Kanzaki in the next presentation. And from now, I will introduce very briefly about the recent research work. This is conducted by the Laboratory of Crop Science in Laos. Continuous cropping of maize resulted in the, how should I say, the degradation of the soil quality and soil fertility. And in Japan, this is very interesting. Without applying any chemical fertilizers, 56 years continuous cropping, still the paddy field can produce 3 to 4 tons per hectare of rice. It is only possible in paddy rice system. Upland crop production system, it is impossible. Without supplying any fertilizers, it is impossible to maintain this kind of productivity. And this is the research work in Water Resource Engineering Laboratory. So they are doing many kind of research work in Japan and other countries too. Because of the time, I will skip the explanation. And this is the research work conducted by Laboratory Agricultural Facility Engineering concerning the proper and sound supply of water to the agricultural system and farmlands. And I have no ability to explain this. This is, and this is the result of our own research group. This is the production map of Northeast Thailand of cassava. And the assumption is the agricultural management is perfectly done. Fertilizers are supplied sufficiently, no disease, no insect damage, no weed competition, and no drought, no flooding damage. If we assume like that, cassava productivity is only limited by solar radiation and temperature, and the Northeast Thailand can produce very high yield. But this area, most of them are rain-fed area. The irrigation system is very ready prepared. So the drought occurs very frequently, and then the productivity dropped, even though the other agricultural management is perfectly done. And you can see the floodplain. Usually, cassava attainable yield is very high, but no farmers cultivated cassava in floodplain because of the flooding. So if the waterlogging modules are incorporated, these floodplains area, the yield is very low. And anyway, the water limitation is added. Even though the perfect management is done, the productivity is low. Oh, I used up my time. So this is our experimental farm, and we are now making the research on the transparent solar cells to produce energy at the same time produce the agriculture product. So based on these recent research, we are doing the education to our students. So that's all my talk. Thank you very much.